Hey everybody, welcome back to the Identity Crisis Podcast. How y'all doing? My name is Ranye, like you already know, and it's so good to have you here today. For those of us that are joining us for the first time, welcome to the podcast. We love having you here. We love to have you here. Thank you for joining us on this journey. And for those of us that are coming back, you know I love you. I've got nothing but love for you. So, this is the podcast where we have real, honest conversations about identity, who we are becoming, and the struggles in between. So, today we are talking about something we all wrestle with, I believe. I think we've all wrestled with this at some point in our life. And that is the fear of being seen, right? Maybe you hesitate to share your thoughts because you fear judgment, maybe you downplay your achievements, to avoid attention. Maybe you struggle with showing up fully because you are afraid, that people won't like the real you, right? See, it could be any reason, but we have all at that point in our lives, right? And so many of us hide, behind perfectionism. I don't even know if that's a word. Behind humor, it could be some of us, like, we have like a curated version of ourselves that we show to people. I know these many things, but what does it truly mean to be seen, right? And why does it feel so scary? Especially in a world that, that often pressures us to present, a flawless facade, right? So these are the things that we're going to be discussing today, right? So let's dig in. Let's dive in. So why do we fear being seen? There are so many reasons I feel we struggle with being seen, right? For some of us, it's fear of judgment. We worry that if people see the real us, our flaws, our struggles, our uncertainties, they'll reject us. For others, it could be the fear of disappointment. Maybe you've built a certain image of yourself, and now it feels impossible to maintain, right? People see you as strong, so you don't want them to see your weaknesses. For some others, people see you as this successful person, you know, so you don't want them to see you struggling, right? And then there's the fear of failure, right? Because obviously, when you put yourself out there, you know, when you really let yourself be seen, it opens you up to criticism, right? It opens you up to mistakes, to being misunderstood, and that's hard. It's really hard. But there's something to think about. Hiding doesn't really protect us from rejection, right? Rather, I feel it just isolates us from having meaningful connections. Um, the more we shrink ourselves, the harder it is to feel truly known, right? So it's important to acknowledge that for some, this fear is deeply rooted in past trauma, negative experiences. It could be child bullying, abusive relationships, other forms of trauma, you know. And all these can make being seen feel dangerous. So this requires like level of compassion, and in some cases, professional support. Let me use myself as an example. Personally, I don't like to be the center of attention. I don't like to be in the spotlight. But unfortunately for me, or fortunately for me, I don't know which one, but um, most of my most dominant gifts are things that put you in the spotlight. You know, I sing. You cannot sing without being in the spotlight. Um, I'm a product designer in my field. It is my work that everybody will see, right? So these things, you know, they force me in the spotlight, but I don't like the spotlight like that. I don't want to be that guy like that, you know. So let me give an example. Um, Personally, I have like very many controversial opinions about many things in this world, right? Very many things. And I feel like my opinions, I have certain opinions that are quite controversial. And I I won't speak because I know that I don't want controversy. I don't want people to talk about me. I don't want to be the center of attention. I don't want, I don't want people in my case. I'd rather not talk. I'll just stay and just you know, be in my space, right? But then growing up this far, I've come to realize that that was never really a good thing, right? I should be able to speak my mind without being worried about what other people think. As long as I'm not trying to, you know, put somebody down or hurt somebody or, like you know, directly negatively impact somebody else's life or livelihood with my opinions, I should be able to say those opinions without being afraid, you know, of what other people think about it. And I believe this stems from me being a I don't want to use that word, but I think I'll just have to use it for lack of a better word. I think I am a people pleaser. I think I'm a people pleaser. So I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want, I just want everybody to be chill. I like world peace. So I won't say stuff. But I don't think I want to encourage anybody to be me in that light, right? So well, glory to God. Now I'm changing that narrative. Now I'm speaking up about stuff, you know, if I have to or if I need to. Gradually I'm doing that. Like I started a podcast, so I'm talking. It's a gradual process. I'll get there one day, but I'd encourage every. I'm Eric. I'm saying this story because I want people to see that it could be anybody, right? It could be anybody, and even up till this moment, I still struggle with that. But I am taking steps, right? And I'm gradually making that narrative change, right, for myself. And I want everybody to do that. Put yourself out there. So let's really look at like what is the cost of hiding, right? Because when we hide parts of ourselves, right, we might feel safe, right, in the moment, or I feel like we also feel disconnected, right? You know that You know that feeling when you are in a group of people but you still feel alone. You know, that's what happens when you are not showing up fully, right? The irony is um, what we crave most as humans is to be known and accepted. But that only happens when we allow ourselves to be seen, flaws and all, even with all our imperfections, right? And this is especially challenging in the age of social media where we are constantly bombarded with um, curated images of perfect lives, right? If you go on the gram right now, like everything is perfect. See people with banging bodies, you know, exceptional, If you, I don't like going to LinkedIn because when you look at people's LinkedIn profile, you begin to ask yourself, like, what are you doing with your life, young man? Who are you? What are you doing with your life? You know, you just see, somebody say product designer, and then you will now see in their whatever you see MSc, BSc, PDP, APC. This person can use Figma, Adobe XD, InVision, what was the other one again? Corel Draw, MX Excel. Person can use Excel, can use Word, can use PowerPoint, and this person can do HTML, CSS, JavaScript. This person can, like, this person can even fly a plane on top the same product designer when they do, you know. And there's that fear. there's that there's that fear. But still, in the midst of that, we should be able to we should be able to um put our authentic selves out there. See, put yourself out there just the way you are. And even if it is not good enough, people you will get better, right? It is not just good enough at the moment. You will get better. So put yourself out there like that. See, let's think about Moses, right? In Exodus, I think chapter 4, um, when God called him, right? Moses said, who am I that I should go? I am a what's that thing? I was going to say hiccups. It's not hiccups. Stammer. Um Moses is a stammer. That's how to pronounce the word. But Moses is a stammer. And he's looking at God like, let me paint a picture here. Like, like God, how far? How far now? I you gonna make Pharaoh hear me? you know, I'm not trying to, be insensitive, but I'm just trying to like paint a picture in your head. And even with that, you could see by that story that God wasn't asking for perfection. God just needed him to show up. God just needed him to step forward, just needed him to go, to move, you understand? So and that begs the question, what if the very thing you are afraid of revealing or putting out there, right, is what will connect you to the right people? What if your vulnerability is your strength? Think about it. So let's move on. How do we get more comfortable with being seen? Right. So I've written down 5 steps or 5 things that you can do that I am personally practicing currently. Like I'm practicing these things consciously. And the first thing would be start small. See, you don't have to share everything with everyone. Just find one space, where you can show up honestly And whether it's a group of friends, whether it's you just journaling things, just write it in a journal. It could even be in a place of prayer. But start by just showing up honestly and authentically somewhere, no matter how small. Now, the number two thing would be challenge the stories you tell yourself. Um, are you assuming rejection before it even happens? Think about it. Are you assuming rejection before it even happens? You know, let's bring it back to me, right? Um, I'm a product designer and I am very critical about my work. And generally, just even generally, I'm very critical about about things, about what I put out. So, and I would look at it again and again and again and again and again. I could be designing a screen and I'm going to include a button, and I can look at that button for 30 minutes and be like, why is it my eye or this button is bent or something? And sometimes, like, I could stay on one thing for the weirdest reasons. But the funny thing is that grace that I am not giving to myself, I give it to everybody else. You know, I give that grace to everybody else but me. You know, so um, now I consciously just challenge myself and say, hey, see, Oga, submit this thing like that. The client will like it. Even when my mind is telling me, maybe the client will not like this thing, I will tell myself, hey, Oga, present it to the client like that. They will like it. If they don't like it, they will tell you what they don't like, Abby, and you will fix it. So that is what I do. Now, I've just many times when I present it to the clients, they like it. They might have one or two things that they want to change here and there, but they will like it. They will like it. So remind yourself, just remind us, just just challenge yourself. And brings me to number three thing. Remind yourself that you are worthy. You are worthy. That is the number three thing. Remind yourself that you are worthy. You know, your value isn't based on how polished or perfect you appear. See, the right people, the right opportunities, the right community will embrace you as you are. See, now I will just tell myself that, bro, you are that guy. You are that good. You understand? And um, I used to be afraid to put myself out there, put my work out there. Now I'm changing that. I'm gradually, changing that. You know, I recently started just um reposting on my LinkedIn. Now I think I just do like I'll post once in a week on my LinkedIn. There was this series I used to write. I was writing a couple years, maybe 2 years, 3 years ago. It's been like over 2 years that I wrote that. But I started again like 2 weeks back. I started again. I'll, I'll put one a week. Whenever. I don't think I've posted this week. But I'll try to put something there this week. I started writing that series again. You know, writing that series then helps me understand that, I knew I could write, but I was always afraid to write. But I started writing it and putting it out there, and I was getting reviews that, this is really good writing. But if I didn't put it out there, I wouldn't know. No, nobody would have that feedback for me. So I want you to challenge yourself. Just remind yourself that, see, you are that guy. See, wake up and tell yourself that I am him. It's not pride. Tell yourself that I am him. I am worthy. So, and number 14 would be seek out safe spaces. See, find communities where um, vulnerability is welcomed and accepted. See, this could be a support group, it could even be like in a therapy setting, um, could be like among your group of trusted friends. Just find a place. For me, um, over the years, that place has always been in the choir, right? Whatever church I'm attending at every point in my life, that safe space has been the choir. And I think I started to do that from, I think it should be like from after my father died. That was the place where I felt safest. So um, I just took that, and wherever I go, if I go into a new church, I join the choir and I try to like feel comfortable in that space. I try to make that space as safe as possible for myself, right? So um yours doesn't necessarily have to be the choir. It could be somewhere else. It could even be like in your workplace, it could be with a group of friends. It could be like, it could be anything. Just look for a safe space where you can, be free. And the final one would be embrace the benefits of vulnerability. And I know some of you are wondering, like, well, are there benefits? Yes, there are benefits of being vulnerable, right? Vulnerability fosters deeper connections, right? It's um, it helps with greater self-acceptance. Um, it gives you a sense of belonging, right? It allows others to see you as you are, while you see others as they are as well. So embrace, the benefits that come with being vulnerable. See, I must tell you this, that being seen is scary. But what's even scarier is living your whole life hidden. That is scarier. That is way, way scarier than being seen. So, you know, embrace visibility. Okay? And like we always do, let's have like a practical reflection, right? Um, Here are a few questions to reflect on this week. And number one would be, what's one part of yourself you've been afraid to show, and why? And number two would be, how has hiding affected your relationships and opportunities? This question has helped me a lot in terms of like identifying um, the opportunities that I've missed because I didn't I didn't put myself out there. So I think it's going to help you a lot as well. And number three would be, what's one small way you can practice showing up more authentically? Um, Number four would be, where can you find or create a safe space to practice vulnerability? Like I already told you, mine is in the choir. So find yours. Number five, what benefits do you hope to gain by embracing your authentic self? Now, this one is key because I feel like um, you would be more motivated to do it. So I think you should look into this one. So I am going to be challenging you. My challenge for you this week is take one step toward visibility, right? It could be speaking up, it could be sharing your story, or just allowing yourself to be vulnerable, in a space that feels safe, of course. But just take one step. Like I told you, I've been taking steps. I've started reposting on LinkedIn. I think I posted on Twitter last week. I had to like revamp my Twitter to feed my career. So I'm taking that step, right? This week I'll do something as well. Actually, I've not done anything in that light this week, but obviously I'll do something this week. It's just take it one step at a time, okay? But this is definitely a good place to close the episode for today. Thank you for being here today. I know this isn't easy stuff, but growth is never easy. So the more we practice showing up as our true selves, the freer we become. If this episode resonated with you, follow the podcast, leave a review, say something. Share it with someone who needs to hear this, Let's keep growing together. So until next time, remember, you are seen, you are valued, and you are enough. I love you all. See you in the next one.